Hi guys! In this video, you're going to see exactly how to paint this figure and the background so you can follow along. The reference photo and outline are free at watsonwatercolor.com. First, we need a light and a dark skin tone. The easiest light skin tone is raw sienna plus a touch of red. If you don't have raw sienna, you can mix burnt sienna with yellow. So take your time and mix a nice skin color and test it on scrap paper. For a darker skin color, you can add some dark brown to this mix. So now I have a light and a dark skin tone, and I add even more dark brown at one side of the petal, so I have an even darker mix. The face is very light on the left and darker on the right side. Be careful with the tiny nose. The arm is lighter on the left and darker on the right. The legs are dark under the skirt where they're in shadow, and then light to dark the same as the arm. While that dries, you can paint the watering can and the sandals pink. If the first leg is dry, add a line of darker brown for the little girl's other leg. If you painted both the legs, that's fine. Just draw a line between them with black. You can also use black or dark brown to paint a line under the chin. Do a very tiny line for the eye, a bit of dark around the top of the arm and the top of the leg. Next, paint the hair. The hair is curly and goes from white on the top, where the sun is hitting it, to blonde, to dark brown in the shadow area. I start with the blonde color and dry that well. Next, I add a medium brown, and I just skip lines to suggest curls. Last, I add some very dark brown. While the hair dries, I add a darker pink line to the bottom of the sandals and the right side of the teapot. The dress can be any color, but you want it lighter on the sides and darker in the middle. Then dry it well and draw lines for the pleats at the bottom. The background. This is a garden, so the background is kind of complex. Start the background with a light yellow-green using a big wash brush. Wet the bottom and paint on the light green. And dry that well. We're going to be drying a lot between layers. Next, mix a darker green and mix more than you think you'll need, because we're going to use it for a lot of areas. Paint the flower area with a thick yellow. And while that's still wet, use a small brush to work in some of your darker green at the bottom. I painted a line of green and then used a clean damp brush to pull some of it up under the flowers. Dry well again. Paint the purple flowers on the other side. Wet the area with clean water. Add light purple and then dab in some darker areas. If your purple all runs together, dab some up with a paper towel. Or you could just do a wash of purple and then sponge on some texture at the end. Dry the purple area. For the sky, you need a big puddle of blue. Wet the area around the figure, being very careful around the edges. Paint blue at the top, getting lighter as you go down. For faraway flowers, while this is still wet, add some green to the top of the yellow mass with a small brush. And then work up some tall spiky green, but keep it very light. While the green and the blue are both still wet, you can dot on some light pink flowers along the green stalks. Now, there's a lot of edges with a figure, so if any of your paint has gone over the lines, you can try re-wetting that area with a small brush and lifting the paint up with a paper towel. If that doesn't work, we're going to be using white at the end to clean up edges. Last, add a shadow under the feet with your darker green. For finishing touches, I'm using opaque white. I'm going to add a highlight to the back. I put down a thick line of white, and then I use a clean, damp brush to soften the inside edge. There's also a highlight on the left side of the upper arm, and scrub in some masses of white flowers in the yellow area. You can add a few dots of light brown for the flower centers. Oops, at this point I see that my sky is drying unevenly with a line. Oh no! That can be difficult to fix, but I'm trying a just damp fan brush and very gently feathering the line out. This won't be perfect, but it will be better than that line. If you have trouble with your sky, you can always add a cloud. And back to the white. I use white to add water coming out of the watering can. That adds a little sense of movement. And last, I use some leftover green and white to add a few grasses in the flower area. And there you have a garden with a cute little girl watering the flowers. This is a simple exercise to paint a complex subject, but simple can be easier, and it's beautiful. Visit Watson Watercolor today for more painting fun. Happy painting!